Thank you. We're back. We're going to now go into the mayoral portion of our
Well, I think
program.
there will be different questions.
Can we have the room come to order,
You did a nice job.
please? Can we have the room come to order?
I survived it.
Yeah,
Please.
it's always
Can we have the room come to order? Here we go. We're back to the Franklin Tomorrow Candidates Forum, and we'll now be questioning the candidates for mayor. We have with us today the two men who are running for mayor. With me to my left is Ken Moore. Ken and his wife Linda moved to Franklin over 7 years ago upon her suggestion when he was retiring from his orthopedic surgery practice of more than 28 years. Proud to call Franklin home since moving here, Moore has made it a point to be involved in the community. This includes serving on boards of organizations that address issues including health care, transportation, education, and homeless veterans, as well as being very active in his church. He was elected as Alderman at Large in October 2007 and became mayor in January 2011 following the resignation of former Mayor John Schroer. To his left is Jay Wade, a former private sector environmental consultant and after 26 years a retiree from the Federal Aviation Administration. He moved to Monticello Subdivision in 1996, which was annexed into the city of Franklin in 2007. He's been actively involved in city-county water sewer issues, TDOT planning on Mac Hatcher, homeowners associations, and served as an official in the annual Science Olympiad. Now, Mr. Wade may look familiar. We've just spent about an hour and 20 minutes questioning the aldermanic candidates, and Mr. Wade is running for both alderman and mayor. If he is elected to both posts, he would have to make a choice and resign that post, prompting a special election, as has been explained by the city attorney. But we're going to move into the question part of our candidate forum tonight. We're not going to have an opening statement, as we did not in the aldermanic races, to allow more time for questions, but there will be a 1-minute closing statement for each of the candidates. So let's start with our first question. The city has encouraged affordable housing by several ordinances. The city has not, however, taken steps to include affordable renting housing incentives. Should this be part of the strategy? Affordable renting housing incentives. Mr. Moore, that question goes to you.
I appreciate your asking that question because the city is studying affordable housing and workforce housing, and I have looked at the rental program and have sat and discussed rental housing and helping improve the rental pool of rental housing. One of the questions that was asked was how can we bring those rental homes up to par so that they're more livable? It's all about the money. We get community development block grant money, and we use that to repair homes that people live in and own, but there's just not enough money to go around at this point in time to fund rental housing. Now, we are in an exciting phase with the Franklin Housing Authority because the Reddick Place development over near the library is going to be funded, and so that will be some affordable senior housing that's going to come on the market. So I applaud that effort by the Franklin Housing Authority for bringing that forward.
Thank you. Mr. Wade?
Would you repeat the question?
The city has encouraged affordable housing by several ordinances. The city has not, however, taken steps to include affordable rental housing incentives. Should this be part of the city strategy?
Well, by incentives, if you mean subsidies for renters, I would say no. Now, if you mean incentives for builders to build rental houses, I would still say no, because that should be a market-driven thing. They can build apartments, which would be the lower end of rental housing, and they can put whatever they can get approved from the planning department for the amount of people that'll be there, whether the roads can handle it, and all the usual things that go with getting anything a PUD approved in the city of Franklin. But we should not be paying subsidies to anybody.
Thank you. The second question, this will be kind of a ping pong for you guys because we'll be trying to alternate who gets the question first. So the second question is, what would be your number one priority issue if elected to the post of mayor?
My number one priority for, if elected to mayor, was to ensure that Franklin has honest city government. I've had occasion to butt heads with the city of Franklin over the last couple of years, and there's things I didn't like. And I know when citizens come down to government, they're always suspicious of why they're doing things and whose brother is getting paid or what donor is getting a special deal. And I want the mayor's office to ensure that people are more confident in their city government. And I think that should be a duty of the mayor, is to be the quality assurance officer for the city, to ensure that when the staff or a consultant makes a recommendation, that they take the time to make sure that all the citizens are represented by that recommendation, to do some spot checking of facts, ask the appropriate questions. And I want the mayor's office to bring honesty to the government, and so that the city of Franklin is a shining example of what city government can be.
Thank you. Mayor Moore?
I'm glad to bring honesty to the office of mayor. My most important initiative for the city of Franklin is to do the things that maintains the quality of life that we enjoy here as citizens of Franklin. We've got a very unique place here. We're a place that many people want to come live. We welcome new people every single day into our community. And they want to come because of the educational level, the quality of life, the fact that we're a safe community. And also our taxes are low. So I think the most important initiative really is multi-pronged. When I say keep the quality of life, that does mean physically responsible. It means working on our infrastructure, working on our traffic, maintaining the safety of our city, and also at the same time continue to work on economic development in our community.
Thank you. As I said, this is kind of a ping pong match here, so this question goes to Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, how many hours per week would you be able to devote to your role as mayor on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen? And is Franklin ready for a full-time mayor?
Well, I'm in a unique situation to talk about that. Whenever I became mayor, I suddenly found out that that was a very demanding job as far as time. There's meetings in Nashville, there's meetings here, there's special meetings that I have to go to. There are some weeks that I'm working harder than I worked when I practiced orthopedic surgery, to be quite honest with you. You know, how much time can I dedicate to it? I'll dedicate as much time as it requires to do the job effectively, and I think that my track record for the last 9 months would show that I've given it my all, and I've done it in an honest and upright manner. I think we should look at whether Franklin needs a full-time mayor. We have a full-time city administrator, and I think that's something that we should start to study going forward. I don't know the answer. I think we have to look and see what other communities are doing, but I think it is something worth studying.
Thank you. Mr. Wade?
Well, I'm retired, so I do have a lot of time that I can devote to the duties of mayor. Now, the mayor of Franklin was envisioned by the city charter to be a part-time mayor, and he only gets paid $800 a month. And that's part of the reason we don't see very many people trying or going down to be mayor, to run for election, because you got to do all that work and do all those things you don't want to do for $800 a month. But I'm willing to do that. And the city of Franklin runs what's called a council manager form of government, where the city administrator runs all the day-to-day issues. He hires and fires all the people, sets most of the agendas, can write checks up to $25,000. And the Board of Aldermen are more like the Board of Directors. and they set policy and direction with the ordinances that they pass. And the mayor, his job isn't that well defined by the city charter. And in a lot of cases, the mayor has become more of a PR person for the city of Franklin. And I think that the city does need to look towards making a full-time mayor. We've grown enough that I think we can certainly afford it, and it would be beneficial.
Thank you. This question goes back to you, Mr. Wade. Since the May 2010 flood, the Hillsborough Road Gateway into Franklin has looked almost like a ghost town. Would you support creative ways to permit redevelopment of these properties, even though they are located in the floodplain?
Well, I drive down that road probably twice a day, and I think we need to do something. Now, you have to look at the floodplain issues. What can they get from flood insurance, and what can they be allowed to be built there? And I think we probably do need to have some incentives for people to come. Now, what is an incentive? Well, there are a lot of different avenues that could take, but marketing it would be one thing, and we have to figure out that just the businesses that could survive another flood, because it is still in the floodplain and it will flood again. So as the city goes, I know they're building the Centennial, or planning to build the Centennial Park down on part of that. But we have to do something, and I think promoting it, I know they're going to four-lane it and do brick walls down the sides and try to make it look better, but we still need some businesses to relocate there. So yes to your answer.
Okay. Mr. Moore.
Hillsborough Road is one of our major gateways into the city, and it's important that we continue to enhance that gateway going forward. It's true that those properties, as we get closer to the city core, are in the floodplain, and there are ways that the codes may allow some construction in those areas. I think we don't really know which direction those are going to go yet, because we're waiting to see what some of the private owners are doing. We've actually initiated some effort to buy some of those properties up to this point. I think we need to continue to develop that gateway, streetscape, which on Hillsborough Road is going to be very important because it addresses a lot of the infrastructure needs. There are people whose sewers back up when it rains too much. We have aging infrastructure out there. We've figured out a way to get the power lines away from Hillsborough Road so it'll be more attractive. And I think people appreciate a community that does want to make their gateway beautiful. I look down Columbia Avenue now from Folk Street and up around the Carter House. It's dramatically changed. And when you look down Columbia Avenue from that vista, I think you can start to see more vision for Franklin going forward in the future.
Thank you. Question 5 comes back, next question comes back to you as well. Would you support annexation of the urban growth boundary? And if so, how would you propose to garner support for such a move?
That's one that's been debated for some time in the city, whether we should annex everything within our urban growth boundary so that we can control what happens in it. The flip side of it is that if you annex it, then you're supposed to start provide services within a reasonable time, which again produces a definite problem. I don't know that I have the exact answer. I think that we've taken the strategy up to this point that we annex as people want to be annexed and as it's beneficial to the city to annex.
Thank you. Mr. Wade.
Well, I was a party to an annexation fight in our neighborhood, and I'm very familiar with that. I would not want to annex a neighborhood that did not want to be annexed. Now, usually what you end up with, it's about a 40 to 60 split either way. And the question becomes, you're going to make somebody mad no matter what you do. And the city can annex, and I think you have to go with a majority opinion when that happens. And I would not go beyond the people who want to come in and may actually make the request, because as I understand it, to provide services to particularly residential areas costs the city more than the gain in the tax revenue. So it's not a plus always for the city to annex. A recent example would be down the Hillsborough corridor out towards Meadow Green. They got sewer service, but they were not annexed because they didn't want to be. And I know the city is working on an annexation protocol where they would have to have certain set of rules, because in the past, everybody got a different deal. And we need to have everybody under the same deal. So I guess to answer your question, I would not automatically annex out to the urban growth boundary just as people requested it, and then it would have to be fairly beneficial to the city.
Thank you. Question comes to you first, Mr. Wade. A recent poll among investors and business owners ranked Franklin as the second most difficult city in the Middle Tennessee area for development. Do you see this as a problem, and if so, what steps should be taken to improve this perception?
If it was a problem, people wouldn't be trying to come here. So I don't really see it as a problem. We have our rules, and we do have the luxury of making our rules probably a little tighter than other places. But everybody wants to come. If you've got a good place, you can raise the prices. And that's what we need to do in some cases, is raise some of our development prices to cover the cost of infrastructure that we have to provide. So no, I wouldn't lower my standards.
Okay. Mr. Moore.
I'd love to see that poll. I don't think I've seen that.
NAIOP.
But, pardon?
It's a NAIOP poll.
NAIOP. I think it's a double-edged sword. We have a lot of codes that are very, very strict. And the people that are quality builders or developers don't mind those. When they look at other areas of the country, ours aren't really that tough. So they appreciate, and the quality people, the quality developers don't mind the codes being tough. I think that at the same time, as a city, we've worked very hard in the past few years to continue to be more service-oriented to our customers.
Thank you. This question comes to you. It's a question we asked to the alderman, but we'll start with you. Does Franklin need a new city hall? And if so, where should it be located? And should it be traditional in its design and construction?
Franklin does need a city hall. In the mid-1990s, a study of this building was done, and it was determined that it had outlived its usefulness. So that answers that question. I am a great supporter for having City Hall remain downtown. But at the same time, I think that it's important, as mayor of the city of Franklin, that we fully explore other options to answer people's questions, because there are going to be people that feel like it should be located in a green field or in another area of town, and so on. I think that will be something that we continue to study as far as how we're going to do City Hall in the future. We've talked a great deal during the Alderman session about a public-private joint venture. In that public-private joint venture, City Hall was not a part of a boutique hotel. It was a separate building that would be built to city qualifications. I like walking to work. I want to walk to work for 4 years, and I don't think I'll be walking to a new City Hall in 4 years, but I still think that's where people want it.
Thank you. Mr. Wade?
Well, as I said earlier, I went down to the PUD public hearing on May 24th and told the alderman that I did not think that associating the City Hall with a boutique hotel was the right thing to do. Now, as I understood it, and from reading in the paper, it was to be included inside the hotel. Now, I could be wrong on that, but, you know, as a citizen, you have to base your facts on what's available. Now, the City Hall, it does need to have a City Hall. It does have issues, roof leaks, air conditioner problems, but it is not an urgent issue. And it is not in a historic building. It does not generate any tourist revenue, and it sits on prime real estate. So we could sell the property and put City Hall somewhere else. There is no physical reason that City Hall has to be here operationally. Now, I know, as I also told the alderman at that public hearing, that if they wanted to keep it downtown, we need to have it as a separate building, separate from any commercial development. And they did promise that they would run the numbers on all those different scenarios and that we would be able to see them, but I have not seen the results of that yet.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
I'm so confused with the ping pong ball
I know
bouncing
it
back
is a
and
ping
forth.
pong. When there's
It's
only
me,
two
huh?
of you, it's kind of, you think you're confused.
We need
I've
a
got my
red light,
hand, I've got
green
my
light.
finger on a number right here. That's the only way I know. It is
I
Mr.
got
Wade.
you.
It is Mr. Wade's turn. Thank
Okay.
you. That's good. What
I'll
is?
be glad to answer, though.
Well, you'll get a chance. So, Mr. Wade, what is the appropriate role for the city in developing infrastructure to support new development, if there is a role?
Well, the city has to support new development. Now, my issue has always been that the city does not charge enough to the new development to pay the costs, and that some of the residents that already live here end up having to pay a significant portion of the infrastructure costs that go to new development. Now, the opposite tack to that is, well, they're going to eventually pay taxes, and they're going to access fees, all those sorts of things, and they'll pay it back. And it is a balancing act, but I would like to revisit the development fee structure for the city of Franklin, because if you look around you, you see our water and sewer rates are going up. They're in a hole because the access fees are shortfall, because they haven't had enough people paying those access fees for growth. Everywhere you turn, traffic is, a nightmare during rush hour. So obviously, we are not ahead of the game on the infrastructure for the people who live here. I'm more interested in the people who live here than somebody who's going to live here in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
I think the city's policy is that developers pay for the infrastructure developments generally. As far as our rising water rates, those increasing fees are not something that we just make up overnight. This is carefully thought out through consultants who specialize in those, and those increased fees are designed such to pay for maintenance of an aging system, at the same time try to project forward some of the capital needs that we're going to have in the future. And water and sewer are all enterprise funds, and by law, those cannot be profitable endeavors, but must break even.
This question comes back to you, ping pong. Franklin Tomorrow earlier this year formed a new LLC nonprofit, Friends of Franklin Parks, to help solicit private donations and grants for park improvements and expansions. Do you have a plan or idea in mind that could better connect our current parks, and do you think there are any areas of the city that are underserved when it comes to open space or parks?
That's a big one. We have about 700 acres of parkland, and I think percentage-wise, we're about 12% of our city is park, dedicated parkland. If you look at Nashville, they're probably 18%. You look at other communities that we're compared to, they're even higher. So we probably are deficient as far as open space. There is a plan to connect our city, and that's called the Greenways and Open Space Plan, which is developed in our community to eventually link our community in a place that is more walkable, more bikeable, more pedestrian-friendly. I applaud Franklin Tomorrow for developing this Friends of Franklin Parks, because we are limited as far as our funds that we have to develop our parks. We have master plans for all of our parks. There's a master plan for Harlansdale. There's a master plan for Eastern Flank. But because of the challenges we have financially, I look forward to the Friends of Franklin Park, and I look forward to being part of that effort.
Thank you. Mr. Wade?
Well, parks are important, and greenways are important, because I do a lot of walking, and I walk down a lot of the paths that are available, and I end up walking on the street a lot of times too, because there's simply not any sidewalks. And I would have to defer to city staff on exactly where all the parks are located and park space per unit of population, because, I won't pretend that I know all of that. But I think we do have a lot of parks. The city has spent a lot of money on the Harlingsdale, the Battlefield Park, and I applaud the city for taking the opportunity to take the land before some developer got it and did something. But that doesn't mean we have the money to run out and turn it into something very useful right now. We can have it, and in the future, we can use it. But I do think the Friends of the Franklin Parks is a good idea, and we would do the best we can to try to push it along.
Thank you. This question goes to you, Mr. Wade. What options should the City of Franklin consider when looking at our long-term needs for water to meet our growing demand?
Well, that's probably an issue I've spent a lot of time on. And you have two issues, water and sewer, and the city got their reservoir fixed, so that helps. But we still buy a lot of water from the Harpeth Utility District, which is essentially piping the water from the Cumberland River. Now, the Corps of Engineers is already starting to charge people, utilities, for taking water out of their impoundments, so that's something we have to look at. We're at the mercy of the Harpeth Valley Utility District because they can raise their prices. And what I would like to see is the city at least have some financial interest in that utility so that we have access to their boardroom and will be part of their decision-making process if we're going to be dependent on it. But the biggest issue is the city of Franklin has outgrown the Harpeth River's watershed ability to handle the population. We have to pipe in water, and then we have to turn around and put our sewer effluent back in the river. And during the summer, that sewer effluent can be 3 times as much as the natural flow in the river. So that's something we have to deal with, and growth will make that worse because we'll just have more and more sewer effluent. So we have to figure out what we're going to do there as well as what we're going to do with the fresh water that comes into the system.
Mr. Moore?
I've been fortunate enough to be on the Integrated Water Resource Steering Committee for almost 2 years now, and we've been studying water and wastewater to determine what our needs will be for the next 25 to 30 years and how we're going to address those needs. Franklin is a unique place. We have 5 different water districts. We have our own water plant and service about 18,000 customers, and we can make 2 million gallons of water a day. During our peak season in August, we can use up to 8 million gallons of water a day. So we're always going to be captive to buying water from the Cumberland River. Fortunately, the water reservoir now holds water. It doesn't leak. It holds about 130 million gallons. It'll supply us 2 million gallons a day for about 60 days. As far as the effluent that we're discussing that we put into the Harpeth River, that is true. That effluent that we're putting into the Harpeth River actually meets kind of like 1950s water standards. And as we've studied potential new wastewater plant, we may actually be able to put an effluent into the Harpeth River that actually augments the flow and actually improves the Harpeth River rather than making it deteriorate further. I think that's enough. I mean, I could go on hours and hours, and I think that's enough information.
All right, we'll come back to you with this next question. What do you think is the most positive improvement or advancement made in the city in the last 4 years, in city government in the last 4 years?
I think the most significant thing in my mind is the charter change that occurred just shortly after I was elected in 2007. Prior to that charter change, department heads were hired and fired by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. With the implementation of the charter change, the only person that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen now hires and fires is the city administrator. I think this gives the city administrator the ability to build a city team. It takes politics out of departments and makes the city run more efficiently.
Thank you. Mr. Wade.
I would just echo what Mayor Moore just said, that taking the politics out of the city government, with the administrator has the ability to hire and fire, and he's only answerable to the mayor and board of aldermen. So it comes back to, what are the mayor's duties then if you give the administrator all of those powers? But I think that is the biggest, best improvement we've had.
Thank you. Question comes to you, and we spoke a little bit earlier with the alderman about the trial program with the Blue Bag Recycling Program. Do you participate? Do you support it? And would you want to see it expanded or continued after the trial period?
Absolutely, I support it. I have been amazed at how much our volume of trash has gone down since we started doing the Blue Bag program. Used to be I couldn't hardly get the lid to close on the bin, and now it's only half full because we've got all this stuff over here in the Blue Bag program. And it's not that hard to do, and I would encourage everybody in the city of Franklin to do it, because it saves the city money, because they sell that or give it to a recycler that's less trash that has to be hauled off to the dump. And we're having to haul trash further and further to find somewhere that will accept it. And that's just going to get worse. So absolutely, I am for and would continue to support the Blue Bag program.
Thank you.
I'm a huge supporter of the Blue Bag program, and I want to say that whenever I asked Dr. Schroer about making Franklin a green community, then Mayor Schroer said, "Moore, that'll be a good job for you." And I kind of just stood there stunned, and from that, our community developed a community action plan. We had over 250 residents participate in that. We had over 2,000 Post-it notes posting what was important. And one of the things that was very, very important to our community was a blue bag, or not, they didn't know blue bag then, but a recycling program. Going back to the household survey a number of years ago, everybody in Franklin wanted a recycling program. But then the next question on the household survey was, will you pay for it? And the answer was no. So through a strange series of events, primarily that our tipping fees went up 25%, suddenly we were able to develop some economy or make it economical to offer recycling, curbside, blue bag, with no additional fees, solid waste fees. So I support it. I applaud the 40% that are participating, and we're diverting about 20% of our trash away from the landfills, and as we go forward into the future, we're not creating new landfills. The landfill in Lewisburg has 2 to 4 years left. The one in Murfreesboro that we take our trash to has 12 to 14 years. We haul our sludge to Camden, Tennessee. Sludge, that's the stuff that comes after it's treated at the wastewater plant. So we've got some huge challenges going forward, and this is something that we're actively studying. I have a meeting tomorrow with Commissioner Martineau to discuss this issue, and we continue to discuss this issue in the Integrated Water Resource Plan.
Thank you. Question comes back to you. Franklin is a town inside a county, inside a region. And Franklin has received many accolades in the last few years, as well as attracted a lot of national and international attention in the business community. What is the role of Franklin in the region and in regionalism, and is it something that we need to be involved in, or should we be worrying about what's inside our borders only?
I'm a person that advocates regionalism, and I think as a region we can go forward and continue to grow and develop economically. I am a member of the executive committee for the Mayor's Caucus. And when we sit down, we talk about regional issues. We talk about how to plan things for our region. Certainly, I'm very, very prejudiced for Franklin, Tennessee. You know, it's in my heart. You know, I'm for Franklin. But if a company comes and locates in the region, I'm still happy that they're in the region. If we lose a company from Franklin and they stay in the region, that's still a win for us. We've got a lot of challenges as a region going forward, and if we don't work as a region, we're all going to be, like Benjamin Franklin said, you can either stand alone or you can stand up. Let's see, what is it? Stand alone or stand apart? Something like that. Anyway, I'm not quite getting it out correctly.
Mr. Wade.
Well, we're all in the same boat. Now, we may be in different ends of the boat, but we're all in the same boat, so we have to work together. And there are a lot of regional issues. One of them I would have liked and advocated years ago was to have a regional water authority to at least have on the books some way to get water from the Cumberland to southern middle Tennessee, for Franklin, for Columbia, for Spring Hill, everybody that's going to need it. And if you'd had one of those in place, you might have got some of that stimulus money when it came out. Now, the other thing is to look at the transportation issues. We do have a lot of transportation issues, and we have to work together, whether it's mass transit. One idea that I put forward to the TDOT was to have a local parking garage out close to the mall that would serve for rental cars, because I used to work at the airport, and we would watch the huge acreage of rental cars that would be stacked one on top of each other on the weekends, and it would be a blank parking lot by Wednesday because all those rental cars are out. And you could do something like having those rental cars at the mall and have just a bus that ran back and forth to the airport to carry people there that came here for all the regional headquarters that we have. So regionalism is a good idea, and I think it's something we all got to do.
This question goes to you, Mr. Wade, but it is for both of you. Mayor Moore, you've served as an alderman, and now you serve as mayor. Mr. Wade, you're running for both alderman and mayor. Which is the better job? Which is the job that you have enjoyed or seek the most?
Well, the mayor is a PR person and gets to kiss babies and do stuff like that. And obviously, Mr. Moore is a lot prettier than I am, and he doesn't have the issue with scaring babies that I do.
You're kind.
So, to my mind, the better job would be to be the alderman, because you do get to vote. And I like being able to vote and have my opinion out there, whereas the mayor, you just got to sit back and wait until there's a tie before you get to exercise your opinion. So of the two jobs, I prefer would be the alderman.
Thank you.
I prefer to be mayor. But I have been an alderman, and I can address that. And I think that alderman and mayor are different, and I think I'd really rather address what I think the mayor does. I think the mayor is the face of Franklin, Tennessee, but I think it's more than a face. I think it's someone that's also working the connections in our business community and making sure that those businesses are happy and that we're doing the things that encourage them to grow. I think also a significant different role is for other aspects of economic development. You know, my role is in participating in the region, whether it's with the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Aldermen don't do that. I participate in the Regional Transit Authority. I participate in the Greater Nashville Regional Council. I participate in the Mayor's Caucus. So it's a much broader job. I don't mind voting. I voted when I was an alderman, so if the opportunity comes up to vote, I will vote. But I definitely want to be mayor. I'm not going back to alderman.
And this will be our final question. Both of you have spoken about charter changes that have occurred and the charter changes which are on the ballot for October 25th includes changing the method of electing at-large aldermen. Do you support that revision? Are there any other charter changes you would propose, such as moving the date of the election to coincide with other local and/or state elections? Goes
Who
to,
gets to go first?
you do.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a real opinion as far as whether moving the election to another date. I think that would have to be studied a bit before we just carte blanche said that that's what we wanted to do. I think we do need some charter changes. I think that we need to clarify the charter as far as what happens if the mayor resigns. I think it's still a little cloudy. I think needs to be some more clarity as far as how we fill a vacant alderman's seat. I think that this proposal to have an A, B, C, D alderman at large has a number of things that I think are positive, so that you could actually pick someone that you wanted to run against an issue, and I think it would also encourage or discourage single-shot voting where you just voted for one person. And maybe it might make it more competitive if you had A, B, C, and D. I don't really know. I've got an opinion maybe in the back of my mind, but the reason that we're bringing it out to the people is because we couldn't really completely make sure. So we're going to ask you to tell us on Election Day whether you want A, B, C, D, or whether you want to keep it like it is.
Thank you. Mr. Wade.
Well, I've already stated that the current charter change that's going to be on the ballot, I would vote no. I encourage people to vote no. All that will do is make it much more difficult to unseat an incumbent alderman. Now, as far as moving the election, I've always advocated moving the election to coincide with even years with the major state and federal elections, because these city elections are always such low turnout events that people just don't come out, they don't remember it. And I think if we got them involved in coming out to the major elections, we'd get a lot better turnout and a lot more people involved in the city. Now, other charter changes, if you go and read the charter, it's not very long. And one of the things I would want to see is that right now the mayor gets $800 a month. An alderman gets $400 a month. And I think it's been a long time since that's been increased. Now, any increase could not be effective until after the next election, so it wouldn't affect anybody right now. And I think that needs to be raised so that we get better and more people involved. Nobody was going to run against the mayor, and I had to put my name on the ballot. So we need more incentives for people to come out and do a hard job like that. It's been a full-time job when you only get $800 a month. So those would be my changes.
Thank you. We'll now move to closing statements, and after the closing statements, I will have wrap-up comments, but closing statement will go first to Mr. Wade.
I'm Jay Wade, and I'm running for the office of mayor. The mayor must represent all the city residents and not just campaign donors or the politically connected. I would encourage people to go to my website, wadeforfranklin.com. That's Wade, the number 4, Franklin.com, and you can see my views on all the issues. There are video clips of me in action before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Now, the things we need to do is reduce city debt, get a better handle on our water sewer expenses, improve traffic flow, and put citizens first in our planning, not developers. The mayor's office should not act as an agent for the latest developer in town. The mayor's office should ask appropriate questions of staff and consultants. The mayor's job needs to be more than a public relations figurehead. Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
My father's given me, who's now deceased, gave me a lot of advice through life, but there's two things that I remember that he told me, and the first one is he said, if you're going to move somewhere, be involved. And since moving to Franklin, I have been involved. And the second word of advice is he said, son, you can either grin and bear it or you can just bear it. So I'm not sure how that affects my closing statement, but I'll continue on. You've really been able to see me act as an alderman, and you've seen my leadership role there, and you've seen what I stand for and what I believe. And you've seen the initiatives that I've helped create and lead. Then you've had the opportunity to see me as mayor. You've seen me for 9 months. I think that you pretty much understand my track record now and how I continue to represent the city of Franklin and how I continue to try to do the best job for Franklin that I can. And I think that you see the vision that I have for the city of Franklin to keep it the best place in America to live and to keep that quality of life that we're experiencing here. And you've heard me comment on how I think we should do that. So my pledge to you is that I will continue to work to keep Franklin the best place to live in America, and that I will do it in an honest fashion, as I've continued to, as I've served for the past 4 years in a very honest fashion. And I ask for your vote, and thank you for coming tonight.
Franklin Tomorrow would like to thank you for attending tonight's forum, and that featured the at-large alderman candidates and the mayoral candidates. Thank you to Franklin TV, the city's cable television channel, for broadcasting this live and for taping it and replaying it numerous times between now and Election Day, October 25th. Please tell your friends and neighbors. Don't forget that early voting begins October 5th and continues through October 20th, each weekday at the Administrative Complex from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and then on October 8th and October 15th from 8 until noon. Additional questions were posed to the candidates earlier, and the answers from those who responded may be found on the Franklin Tomorrow website at www.franklintomorrow.org. Please plan to participate in Franklin Tomorrow's 9th Annual Chili Cook-Off to be held October 29th during Pumpkin Fest on 4th Avenue North. We will also hold a vision fair on October 29th on the public square, where the public can view the work of hundreds of individuals over the last year to refocus the goals and strategies of Franklin Tomorrow, which have been set by the citizens and people of Franklin. Please check our website, www.franklintomorrow.org, for more information on both of these events. Franklin Tomorrow seeks to create an educated citizenry. We will not endorse candidates, but we do hope that the information we were able to provide tonight through this forum will allow you to make an informed decision when you go to the polls. Remember that government is never more close to the people than at the municipal level, and we encourage you to vote for the candidates of your choice on October 25th or during early voting. Thank you and good night.
You smoked me.